If you are in Mexico on November 2nd, you will see something unlike anything you have ever seen before. There will be people dressed up in very colorful costumes with their faces painted to look like skeletons. There will be skeletons and skulls hung up as decorations everywhere. If you are in Mexico on November 2nd, you will run into the celebration of the Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead is one of the most important holidays in the Mexican culture, but many people who do not live in Mexico or know the culture well believe it is just a celebration of Halloween. The Day of the Dead is a very important holiday and celebration to all of those living in Mexico. I have always been fascinated with the Day of the Dead and the many cultural aspects that go into the celebration. I have looked at many articles that are about the Day of the Dead and feel that I am well learned on the topic. First, I will discuss the importance of the Day of the Dead for Mexican people. Then, I will discuss some of the activities that take place on the Day of the Dead. Lastly, I will discuss why the Day of the Dead is important to people who do not celebrate it. A day of celebrating loved ones who have passed on and life in general, the Day of the Dead is a special day celebrated by all Mexican people. The Day of the Dead is one of the most important days of the year for those living in Mexico and for those who are part of the Mexican heritage. The Day of the Dead honors those who have passed on into another life, as the Mexican culture shows, and celebrates life itself. According to Weiss, the Mexican culture believes that the deceased people have a life after death where they are able to visit loved ones during the Day of the Dead celebration. Often assumed to be a sad and somewhat depressing event, this celebration is quite the opposite. The Mexican people throw quite the party for their deceased ancestors and celebrate they themselves are alive. The Day of the Dead celebrations stem from many different beliefs and religions that have combined over the years. According to a quotation from an article by Weiss, the origins of the Day of the Dead rest in the 16th century fusion of the Aztecs' belief in death as merely one part in the wider cycle of existence. The Aztecs believed that the people in authority still had authority after they died, and many sacrifices were made to the Lady of the Dead. These beliefs, combined with Catholic beliefs, make the Day of the Dead what it is today. The Mexican people celebrate the Day of the Dead alongside All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, two holidays in the Catholic religion. Not every region of Mexico celebrates the Day of the Dead in the same way. Weiss, as previously cited, described the different geographical and social areas of Mexico and how their celebrations were different from one another. Chiapas, in the southern part of Mexico, focuses on public displays and parades honoring the dead. Decoration of altars or tombs is very important to the Mexican people living in the valley. The Day of the Dead is also more important for different people in different regions. Those living in rural areas spend most of the year preparing for the celebration. Now that I've discussed the holiday itself, I will now discuss some of the things that take place during the celebrations. There are many different aspects of the Day of the Dead that make the festivities so enjoyable. There's a lot of preparation and decorating that goes into the Day of the Dead. According to Drake, storefronts become decorated with skulls and skeletons many weeks before the celebrations begin. Bakeries create an assortment of delicious treats, all decorated with skulls and skeletons to match the theme. Many farmers sell orange marigolds, a flower that is greatly associated with the day and its celebrations. The decoration of tombs and altars of loved ones is a very important tradition. According to Tafoya, the families of the deceased clean the tombs and the altars, pulling weeds and anything else that may cover the tomb. The people place the favorite food of the deceased on the tomb along with flowers, candles, and other decorations. The families then sing songs and tell stories that they remember about the deceased relative. Similar to Halloween, children dress up and collect candy, and there are many parades that occur during the Day of the Dead. According to Drake, as previously cited, the children of the town dress up in many different costumes and go door to door saying the word calaveras, which is Spanish for the word skulls. After the children say calaveras, the people living in the house give the children some candy or a piece of fruit. Some children even carry another child in a coffin dressed up as a skeleton. The parades are a sight to behold, as many people in the town dress up as skeletons and dance in the street. There's also lots of food and music available during the parades. Now that we have learned about the Day of the Dead and its celebrations, I will discuss why it is important to know this information. There are many reasons why knowledge about the Day of the Dead is important to someone who does not celebrate it. Appropriate knowledge about the holiday reduces any misconceptions or stereotypes that could be associated with the event. The Day of the Dead is much more than a Halloween celebration, and accurate knowledge about the celebration will reduce these ideas. The Day of the Dead is also a religious celebration, and it would be extremely offensive if a person made fun of them in front of someone who celebrates the day. Accurate knowledge about the event prevents people who celebrate the Day of the Dead from getting offended. Disney is coming out with a movie about the Day of the Dead. According to Jost, Coco is inspired by the Day of the Dead. The movie follows the story of a boy named Miguel who travels to the land of the dead because of his passion for music, which his family had banned. The cast is also entirely Hispanic, as Disney has focused on making sure that the Day of the Dead is accurately represented. Another reason that knowledge about the Day of the Dead is important is because it's important to know about other cultures. Sometimes we can offend someone else simply because we do not know something about their culture. It is also important to have knowledge about cultures other than the American culture, because so many other cultures are vastly different from ours. If we know other cultures well, we can better interact with people from other countries. Today, I first discussed the Day of the Dead itself. Second, I discussed the many aspects of the celebration. Finally, I discussed why the Day of the Dead is important to those who do not celebrate it. The Day of the Dead is a very important holiday and celebration to all of those living in Mexico. In conclusion, the Day of the Dead is not a celebration meant to be taken lightly. Not only is it a celebration of those important to the Mexican people who have passed on, it is also a celebration of life itself. Life is something that should be celebrated by everyone daily. Thank you.